On this episode of How to Do Florida, we're kicking it old school as we learn how to fish from a kayak.
Well, I can see how this could get addicting. We're going kayak fishing.
Then Chef Justin shows you how to serve and prepare Florida fruits and vegetables.
Today we're going just how nature intended, and that is raw.
Then Chad goes complete Rambo and faces his worst fears, learning wilderness survival techniques.
Hoo-yah!
This is How to Do Florida.
Hey, we're here in Cedar Key. We're going to show you how to go kayak fishing.
Growing up in Florida, I've been fishing since I was knee-high to an armadillo. And over the years, I've fished from every conceivable vessel that can be put on water. I'm talking bass boats,
Man, what a pretty fish.
charter boats,
This fish is so big they can't get him to the door.
shrimping boats,
Look at that sucker, man. Whoa! Oh, dog!
heck, even a houseboat. And while I've enjoyed taking in Florida's natural beauty from a kayak, I've never fished from one. Honestly, I guess I've looked at fishing from a kayak as somewhat of a step backwards. So to help me get the proper perspective, I've teamed up with Al Clements, a true kayak connoisseur. This man has got kayak fishing dialed in.
Well, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to catch some fish.
We're going kayak fishing.
We pushed off at sunrise in Cedar Key, heading for the warm, shallow grass flats that are home to trout, black drum, and redfish.
Al, where's the motor on this thing?
2 horsepower, left and right.
Located in the Big Bend, off Florida's Gulf Coast, Cedar Key is about 2.5-hour drive northwest from Orlando. I quickly learned when it comes to kayak fishing, it's all about the accessories. And you wouldn't believe what can be clamped, screwed, suctioned, or tied to a kayak today. Step 1, selecting a kayak. Fishing kayaks break down into 2 major categories, sit-in and sit-on. Sit-on style kayaks feature a molded deck that you can sit on top of. Advantages include exceptional stability, and they're generally easier to maneuver. Sit-in kayak is a more traditional style where you actually sit inside of it. The advantages are hull speed and paddling performance.
The reason that I chose this boat is it's wide and it tracks very well, meaning that I can lift my paddle and it keeps going in the position that I want to go. Also, it's a sit on top, so it's got scupper holes in it.
Okay.
So if the water comes in, it drains.
What do you need to have on this boat for it to be legal?
Well, you have to have a whistle.
Okay.
You're supposed a reflector. You have to have a reflector.
Okay.
I've got a whistle there, a whistle here, and a whistle on my life preserver.
3 whistles.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep. And I've got a radio.
Step 2, adding accessories.
So Al, let's talk a little bit about a couple of features on this kayak. Very important right here, Al, is the seat. This is where your derriere resides.
You've got side support. You've got high back support.
Yeah.
And it keeps you in a straight position, and you want to always paddle with your back straight.
And let's talk about this paddle here.
I suggest buying a paddle that's the lightest paddle you can buy. When you get out here and you paddle, it's well worth it.
How important is this rudder here?
Oh, it's extremely important. Weather like we had today, wind, I like speed, so I can just keep my same rhythm and guide myself anywhere I want to, especially against a heavy current. Now I can raise this rudder and lower this rudder in the front, and it directs also from the foot pedals, so it's just a great piece of equipment.
How important is a good anchoring system?
I've got 2 anchors. I've got one for deep water, which is your standard anchor.
What do you call this?
That's called a stakeout pole. It's on an anchor trolley. It's easier to remove, and you can also use it as a poling apparatus too, to ease your way into the area you're fishing. The anchor trolley can actually turn this boat 160 degrees so that if I want to fish behind me, I don't have to throw the rod behind me. I can actually spin the boat right around where I'm fishing straight in front of me again.
Who invented the anchor trolley?
I have no idea, but
Pretty
whoever
smart
did is
guy.
smart.
Yeah. So let me show you a real interesting anchor system that Al sets up here. He's got this little small Danforth, which might be a little overkill, but it's really better to have more anchor than you need out here. He's got a carabiner that he throws the anchor over. He can hook to the side of the boat. But when he has a big fish on, he wants to chase the fish down. He releases the carabiner. It's got a float here, so when he comes back, he knows where his anchor is. He can go chase the fish.
As we look for a good place to fish, I quickly found out Al was not impressed with my paddling.
Hey, Chad, really, if you get your paddle more level, you'll actually go faster and you won't be killing yourself.
I probably won't get as wet either.
Despite my inferior paddling, we made it to a nice spot where the water was only 4 feet deep with a grassy bottom, perfect for ambush fish to lay in wait.
We've got an incoming tide, which is perfect.
The water's just wrapping around these islands, forming these nice little eddies.
And that's what we're doing, is we're trying to give them that presentation of a bait fish coming through this fast current.
I'm seeing things I probably wouldn't have seen zipping by in a boat. Little schools of mullet and, you know, activity in the water and wading birds.
It's nothing like kayak fishing. I've had boats.
So Al, I can see how this could get addicting. You know, being out here, you're just so low to the water. And I feel like I'm so in tune with what my plug's doing, with what the fish are doing. You know, it's just a completely different perspective than you're used to getting standing up in a boat.
Exactly. And you know, I'll tell you another thing too that's shocking, is you're dry.
I'm not dry.
You're not wet.
I'm not dry because I don't know how to paddle yet.
Well, you're not soaked.
I was itching to experience catching a fish from a kayak, but for some reason, nothing would take our bait.
Did you get him?
No.
Then it hit me. We were fishing the day after a cold front had come through, which is absolutely the worst time to fish. I ended the day fishless. So a month later, I went out and bought a kayak from Gander Mountain. And at sunrise the next morning, I headed to one of my favorite fishing spots, Mosquito Lagoon. And it didn't take long to find what I had come for. Step 3, the catch.
Oh yeah, come to daddy. That is a beautiful Mosquito Lagoon trout. It's been a long time coming, but I finally got my kayak trout.
And the trout just kept coming.
Big fish. Now this is kayak fishing, baby. Woohoo!
How could I have ever thought that kayak fishing was a step backward? I guess in a way it is. A step backwards from speeding across the water, a step back from a loud boat engine that drowns out the sounds of nearby wildlife, and definitely a step back from the monthly boat payments. I love the low footprint of a kayak, not to mention the slick stealthiness that allows you to sneak up on fish. So I encourage you to take a step backward and give kayak fishing a try.
Ha! Thank you, baby.
For more information on kayak fishing, go to our website at howtodoflorida.com.
Still to come, Chad's learning wilderness survival skills in the Ocala National Forest.
I think I got us a light lunch. What do you think?
But first, Chef Justin's dishes show us how to prepare beautiful Florida fruits and vegetables.
Really, really, really good, Chef. You can almost taste the sunshine when you eat it this fresh.
You're watching How to Do Florida. We'll be right back.
Up next, Chad and I are going raw.
Going raw. Chef Justin's gonna take us there. Wow, Chef Justin. I mean, this is one of the reasons I love Florida. I mean, look at all this, and you're telling me all this is grown in Florida.
Really, it's all about seasonality. Understanding the growing seasons around Florida is going to be your best friend when it comes to buying produce. Today, we're going just how nature intended, and that is raw. Let's start with this amazing orange here. Okay, now what I like to do if I'm just kind of casually eating orange or serving them up, then I'm just going to make kind of like little citrus smiles.
Okay.
I'll cut it like that into quarters. And we see this very end part here has a little bit of seeds and kind of the white part here that can be a little rough. So to make it nice and easy, I put it down on the board and just kind of at a little angle. I'll take this off right there.
Just zip that sucker
and
off.
look at that.
Look at
That is ready to go. Perfect.
It's a citrus boat.
And then, you know, if we want to have a little fun with it, I could just kind of run my knife down, serve it just like this, and then you have basically the skinless piece there ready to go.
Wow.
And now another cut I like to use, depending on what we're serving, is I'll take the top and the bottom off. So then I'm gonna go right down, following the natural curvature of it.
You guys looking at that? Look how he goes around the corner there like
This is
that.
taking this off nice and easy.
Look at that. So this is where you really need to have a nice
Beautiful.
sharp knife here, right, Chef?
This is where the sharp knife comes in extremely handy. Okay.
Oh, it's like a goodness ball right
Naked
there.
orange right there. I mean,
Yeah.
I just go to town on this. So from here,
So you can do like an ambrosio or like an ambrosio?
Absolutely.
Ambrosio.
ambrosia.
Ambrosia.
We can make some nice little slices like that. There's so many ways we can cut it, but once we've got the skin off, then it's just eat it up.
Oh, these just plop in your mouth.
Well, Chef, thank you so much for those serving and dicing and slicing tips.
Absolutely.
What I really want to know is, what is Florida on a platter?
Ah, yes, my friend.
Let's bring it out. What
Let's
do
show
got?
you. All right.
And I got some dips over here.
We've got Florida on a platter here. So what we mean when Florida on a platter is we've got all this amazing produce that we've cut up. It's all in raw form, and we've arranged it nicely on a platter to enjoy, you know, from the snap beans to the cucumber to squash to sweet peppers, radish, amazing citrus, watermelon, blueberries, strawberries.
Wow.
Just the way I like to eat it,
Yeah.
raw, fresh, and healthy.
So you've got these, and now let's talk about these dips here. 'Cause these
Yeah,
dips
we've
look
got
really
some
good.
great dips that I like to serve this with, whether it's a fresh made hummus. Of course, we love guacamole here with the Florida avocados.
Gotta have it.
I've got some smoked mullet dip, which is phenomenal with these veggies. And then a little bit of low-fat, house-made pimento cheese dip, which is one of my southern favorites.
You know, Chef Justin, with this spectacular display, I think I have a pretty good shot at getting my kids to eat more vegetables.
You know, Chad, that would be phenomenal because right now in their raw form, they are packed with nutrients.
Hey, to learn more about how to make a Florida on a platter for yourself and these amazing dips, go to our website.
At howtodoflorida.com.
What he said.
Coming up next, Chad learns the survival skills you need to live off the land.
What's my worst enemy out here tonight?
The cold.
When How to Do Florida returns.
Today on the show, we're going to show you how to do wilderness survival. Forest lands cover almost half of Florida's total land area. That's over 16 million acres of forest.
While it's a gorgeous place to explore, you wouldn't want to get lost in these parts. So before you venture into the wild, be prepared. Today, it's all about wilderness survival. Since I was a kid, I've been fascinated with the idea of being a survivalist, living in the untamed wilderness and relying on only my wits and trusty first blood dagger strapped to my leg. So I decided to tap into my inner Rambo and meet up with Byron Kearns.
Chad, it's me, Byron. Dude, what is wrong with you?
Byron, you were a wild boar, man. Sorry.
Trained for survival, evasion, resistance, and eating things that will make a billy goat puke, Byron is the real deal.
These grubs are like McDonald's to the armadillos.
Byron was a United States Air Force instructor and has taught survival tactics to everyone from Boy Scouts to Navy SEALs. Byron will be going over his 7 priorities for modern survival. Priority number 1, have a positive mental attitude.
Sometimes people react, they may give up, or the other extreme, they may panic.
Yeah.
We try to want to be somewhere in between, Chad.
So no freaking out.
No freaking out on me, and don't give up on me.
Okay.
All right, dude.
Priority number 2, wilderness first aid. And now, Byron will show us how to deal with a poisonous snake bite.
Byron, it's a snake bite right here, man, right here. Oh, get it out. Get it out.
You're gonna die, man.
Okay, let's revise the setup. Now Byron shows us how to deal with a poisonous snake bite to the hand.
Chad, what's wrong?
Byron, the snake bit me on my hand. Get it out, suck it out.
Do not attempt to suck out the poison. Calm the victim by holding them firmly in your arms and clearly communicate to them the situation.
Chad, I see 2 fang marks here. You've been bit by a poisonous snake.
Oh, I knew it. I knew it.
There could be some swelling, there could be some pain.
Swelling and pain?
If you have a cell phone signal, call 911. And if the victim is able, walk them towards medical help.
We're gonna start walking, Chad.
Okay.
Camping trip's over. Let's go.
Let's go.
As soon as I get good cell phone,
You can call my wife.
Priority number 3, shelter.
we're spending the night out in the woods. We need a nice shelter for the night.
You said we're what?
Spending the night out in the woods. It's only supposed to get down to about 35, 36.
I need to make some phone calls.
Byron suggests building a shelter on high ground and with plenty of overhead cover. Use pine needles for both bedding and to keep you warm.
Look at this. What we want to accomplish here is a lean-to.
I began looking for 5 to 6 sturdy poles. This would create the framework for my lean-to. And voila.
Done?
Done.
Chad, let me ask you a question. Will that protect you from the elements, wind, rain?
No,
You
Byron.
got a little more work to do.
I had to weave the framework from whatever I could find. A long vine would do the trick. And for protection from the elements, we would use a mixture of palm fronds, leaves, and pine needles to complete the shelter. And then Byron showed me how to make my bed.
Byron, where are you gonna sleep in here?
You're on your own.
What's my worst enemy out here tonight?
The cold. You'll get to know it very well tonight.
Survival priority number 4, fire.
Stand back here. This is a warm area. It's a hot area right here, Byron. You want to back
Chad,
up?
I don't even see any smoke
You
yet.
might want to back up.
First off, you need to be prepared with tools to start a fire before heading into the forest. Byron's first choice, flint and steel and cotton balls smeared with petroleum jelly. Ignite the petroleum jelly-soaked cotton balls and place kindling over the flame. And just like that,
Hoo-yah! We've made fire. We've made fire.
priority number 5, signaling.
We could be back in our shelter and we hear an aircraft and we pull out a mirror. I put the image right on my hand. Now I take my body and I turn, keeping it on my hand, and I flash 3 times to that aircraft. Come over here to the airplane.
Come
I'm
at
the
you.
airplane.
Rocking
I'm
you.
flying.
1,
I'm flying.
2, 3.
I'm coming into you. The whistle.
The whistle.
3 blasts. Rescuers realize that's an international distress signal
Yeah.
and they'll hone in on you.
Priority number 6, water.
Chad, this is a great water source. I see green vegetation around it, Chad. If there was no green vegetation, we're not going to use it. If there's a dead animal, we're not going to use it.
Good.
But we got to purify it.
So I can't just drink it.
No.
Priority number 7, food.
3 minutes air, 3 days water, 3 weeks food.
3 weeks?
Have some jerky on you, have some power bars.
You have none of that,
The
let's say.
last thing I want people to do is start foraging for plants and berries. You see a berry there and you think, oh, I know what that berry is, and you eat it. Now you are so sick that there goes the plane and you can't even pick up your signal mirror.
Or you
to
start
signal it.
hallucinating and there's planes all around you and you're in some Pink Floyd video, right? Hey, Byron, can I eat these berries?
No.
Byron, my car.
Byron! Byron!
Byron, I gotta hold some bad berries. You suggest bugs.
Crickets, grasshoppers. 6 legs and less, pure protein.
I think I got us a light lunch. Look at that, buddy.
Well, I'd say you got some type of beetle. I kind of like to take it, though, and kind of chop its head off. So I don't need that bug biting me while I'm eating it. Here we go. Cheers.
All right.
What do you think?
So I followed Byron's 7 priorities for survival and had a positive mental attitude.
I think it tastes like a tree it come out of.
Most of the time. I had my shelter, fire, water, and, well, food, if that's what the bug was. The sun had set, so all that was left to do was bed down for the night. Being out in Florida's wilderness has and always will be a big part of my life. And spending the night in a lean-to, eating beetles, Byron's skills have given me added confidence to continue exploring Florida's great outdoors.
Hey, for more information on wilderness survival, go to our website at howtodoflorida.com.
You're watching How to Do Florida. We'll be right back.
We've traveled all over this great state, serving up adventure that only Florida can deliver. Well, that's our show. I hope you learned something, but more importantly, I hope you feel encouraged to get out and do Florida.
For more info on this episode, go to howtodoflorida.com, where you can watch full episodes, bonus material, and all of Chef Justin's yummy recipes. Be sure to check out our Do Florida page, which is our giant list of events and activities all over the Sunshine State. Yeah, you should check it out.
Al, can we eat these?
Oh, get it out.
Yeah, dude, you're gonna die, man.
Get it out, please.
Wait, hold on.
I think one of the fangs is still
Do
stuck.
an extremity or something, man.
That was a nice cast. I appreciate that, man. I was talking about mine.
Okay. Byron, what you got me some tiddling around there? I saw some tiddling back
How
over
about
there.
some kindling?
Kindling will be fine.
The mic.
Man, the mic got wet. You know, my white balance is off, my lens is dirty, but that's fine. Okay, come on.
So what about tandem kayaks?
We call tandems automatic divorces. I mean, really.
Well, that's our show. I hope you, I'm going too fast.
Hoo-yah! Dude, what is wrong with you?
Yeah, right there. Oh, yeah, perfect. Yes.